how did IFP start? How is the story of, because I every time I know when it comes up, I'm always looking at the general buzz of people really wanting to create, and there is this environment of people who want their creative energies out there, which comes with it. But I'd love to understand the inception of how it all began.
So, it was a very random thought. Like, uh, in my college, because I was not a great student, so I thought the only thing that could make me popular in Xavier's was that I could probably bring in, lead the student committees and take care of designing and sponsorships, like Joseph was mentioning about. I said, this is very interesting part. Let me do this. This will make me very cool. So during my college for 3 years, I used to be part of everything which is admin, management, getting sponsors. I think in my first year I closed a sponsorship which was like 60,000 rupees, and at that time 60,000 rupees was like
Yeah.
total budget of a college festival, close to a lakh rupees. So I was getting 60% alone. And the news spread in the college saying that there's this young chap who's got
60,000.
sponsorship. So now finally the festival is happening, kind of thing. So I said this looks like a really sorted space. And as a kid, I wanted to become a space scientist or a computer scientist. So till because I opted for electronics in my graduation, and I was really good with electronics because it came in my genes. When I was younger, my dad used to make me solder his circuits and all those things in summer vacation. So I said, uh, "Abhi chodo science ko. Let me become this guy who wants to be like a hands-on person." So I was hands-on. I was a part of film club that we started in Ahmedabad while I was studying, and we used to show world cinema kind of films, and we used to show a lot of regional films. This is way back in 2009 when there were only DVDs. There was no internet, which is there. You couldn't watch a long form content on internet. And we had thousands of people who became members at a premium price. So I said, this is really a lucrative place to be in the media industry. So somehow in my mind, at the back of my mind, I said I wanted to be in the media space because looks like a very happening space. There's nothing you get bored of, or probably I was not exposed to enough things, so I thought this was the best way into it. Cut to I was in Mumbai on one of the projects that I was working. I was living with a couple of filmmakers who were students at Whistling Woods. And good 8 months that I lived with them, the conversation every day would be that we were going to shoot a short film. They assigned me the title of executive producer, so I was like very happy I'm producing something. Good 8 months. I think for 7 months we planned. It never happened. Eventually I left Mumbai, and then till date I don't think so that film happened. So while I was figuring, I said, what do I need to do? Because I didn't want to take up a job. I didn't want a place where someone would give me an order and say, this is what you need to accomplish today. I said, that's not my cup of tea. I said, what space do I want to be in? So I said, there is a small gap that I saw because these filmmakers, they were trying to do something, but because there's lack of a force that could enable them, probably if I could become that force for them. So I just whatever coding skills I had with a friend of mine, we coded a website overnight. We called it Ahmedabad Film Project, and we put rules. We said on this particular day, we'll give you a theme. You have to travel down to Ahmedabad. In those 50 hours, you have to make a film, submit it in a DVD or a pen drive, and then leave for your city. And then we'll announce the results. So we did something like this, and there was no online payment. So there was a cash payment thing. So you had to come to our office or send a check for you to register. So the next morning, and I think raat ko 11 o'clock we published it, put it on the Facebook group, made a Facebook group, added all our friends there, put this out. And next morning I come at 11 o'clock in the office, and there's a guy standing outside with a form from NID. He's a film student. Ninad says, saying that this is my 1,000 rupees, this is my registration form. I want to be a part of it. I said, this is the quickest validation of idea that would have happened because less than 12 hours, this already business which is getting generated out of it, kind of like. So that's how the first IFP happened. We had people from 19 cities who traveled down, around 600 filmmakers who participated, made films, and we could manage to get Sanjay Gadvi, who was right in the Doom 2 fame back then. We could get him as a jury member and all those things. I think this is one-time activity. Probably I would go back to what I wanted to do: film festival curation. So I'll become a person who will curate festivals for private and government.
Yeah.
I kept on doing this. Meanwhile, a Gujarati film happened. So I produced a film called Kevi Rite Jaish, which is, I was 21 year old, so I was the EP and also a distributor for that film. And that film went on to become the first urban film on a budget of 1 CR, and it went on houseful for in 170 cinemas for 8 weeks. So it became a turning point, like how what Shwas was for Marathi. Sorry, what Shwas was for Marathi. Kevi Rite Jaish became that for Gujarati cinema in a way. So I said, okay, I want to become a film distributor or a producer. And meanwhile, on our office landline, so my office is me and an intern. We get a call, my intern picks up, and she's like, someone is asking when is the next film project happening. Like, are people expecting the next one? Because we never thought of doing it second time. And the thing with a festival is that if you do it once, no one cares. But if you do it second time, then people expect the third time.
Yeah.
So I said, now I'll have to think of it. And this was not a money making thing. I was doing it more out of
Love.
kind of love and also kind of activity to sustain when I don't have projects. So second one we did, we got Shujit Sarkar and Vikramaditya Motwani coming in, and around 1200 people coming in. Then I said, now this is something that I want to do, like make it bigger, but see how much bigger can we do. So by the time we reached fifth year, we had made it completely online. We had participation coming from 4 or 5 countries, and we reached a mark of close to 12,000 people participating in our fifth year, which is big because typically there was nothing in that space happening. There are film festivals which are happening, which we still get compared to a lot of film festivals. I have to tell people this is not a film festival. This is a different thing altogether. So we said now the time has come that this should be a business. Like it should have its own P&L. It should not be a hobby anymore. And we made it a business. Got our first employee on board. Till then, it was completely interns run kind of thing. Then we moved the festival from Ahmedabad to Mumbai. We said now it should go to a place where people can easily travel and which is like a center activity. And then we kept on developing it, uh, understanding things, what more do we want to do out of it. So the present form of IFP is probably something I didn't even visualize 2 years back. So when I started, I was so clueless that what I wanted to do. It was like if I have to tell you, the first IFP we made 6,000 rupees out of doing the entire activity. We took like getting people and taking care of their travel and all those things which happened. But somehow the realization that now happens is that it was an important thing to do. I attend a lot of online workshops these days. So a lot of people say start small. Now I understand what start small means. Start small and start foolish. You don't know where it's going to take you. And because there was no business plan, there was a lot of pure intention. So everyone who kept on joining us, I told them this is not a business. This is a community that we are running. We are doing it for the love of our thing. Don't expect to be getting paid the way you would have got at some other places. But this will definitely be a fun thing that you'll remember for a lifetime. So the first intern from my first year to every intern who has been at IFP, which would be more than 200 people by now, they are like a family. They're just a call away. And when we do our annual reunion, when these people come in, we have to typically now take a banquet and get so many people inside because uh, it's a, I what I was trying to tell you is that when we started, we were like so clueless about what we were trying to build, and now I ponder and tell my team. So just yesterday there was a new guy who joined, and there was no he came in very early at the office, so there's no one to do his induction. So I said I'll do your induction, so I'll take you through the entire journey. And he was like, what? You started without a plan? Like what? You started with 1% team, you had first employee at the end of 5 years. I said yes, that happens. Now it might look very difficult. Now I can't do that again. But at that age I was 21-year-old, so it was like without a plan, it went in a flow.
And that's the thing, right? If you today morning, I'm rereading Creativity Inc. And I was running through one of those chapters where Ed Catmull talks about the fact that people assume that people start with a vision,
Yes.
but especially in a business that is around creativity, you stumble upon it.
Yes.
You don't arrive on it before you start.
Before you start.
And if you do arrive on it before you start, then it might not be the right business to get into, which makes sense, right? Because you start from a passion point or an area which you have interest in. It's not necessarily, oh, this is going to be a business. Because when you're talking like that's not you weren't doing a business. You were starting something which you thought would be a great community exercise to do,
Yes.
and it became a business over time because you saw an opportunity of how it could kind of grow into what it's become. But it's also learning the fact that if somebody asks that question, it's also the fact that we're so ingrained to say you need to have a plan, you need to have a business plan, you have what are the different phases, how are you kind of scaling it
Right.
up, especially in a creative business. And I'm generalizing. I feel if you go with that mindset, you won't be able to catch the
Yes.
essence of what it is.
I think a lot of people fail to understand when in a business like ours, they use terms like what's your ROI. I tell them my ROI is that out out of thousands of people now, I think close to 2 lakh people have participated in IFP in last 11 years. Just in filmmaking, there are three people who started their journeys at IFP, or their filmmaking journey at IFP by making the first film, which is really bad, and they have won National Film Awards. For me, there are people who participated in the music challenge that we do, and now they're opening NH7 and Lollapalooza. They're the people who are now becoming face. So I said, for that me, that is an ROI. Now, how do I define it? How do I put it on paper? We did a classic mistake. Not a mistake. I think it was more of a Shark Tank thing when you're watching the Shark Tank USA. So 2018, we went across to companies. We said we want to get funded, and we had some couple of open offers. We said there's a festival, there's a huge community that we have built. It's something that we are really proud of. And everyone came back to us and said, okay, I'll ask KPMG to evaluate you. They asked us to send across a couple of decks. Most of people came back to us and said, where is the ROI? How do you measure ROI? I said, this. How do you use that term for a business like this?
Yeah.
This ample of satisfaction. There are people who write to us, hundreds of mails that come to us every month, talking about how IFP participating or even losing could change their life. Just a couple of months back, I was speaking to a brand manager at Mintra, and she told me, what, I participated in the writing challenge, and I stood in the top 10. I didn't win, but when I appeared for my interview at O&M, I told them that this is one thing, and they said share the story, and they loved the story. That's how I got hired, and that's where I jumped from agency side to brand side. Now I'm doing this, and I want to work with you because I know what it has been. And like, these are the people who are a testament to what we have been doing.
Yeah.
So there's no ROI that we can define. Like,
I think the ROI, and it's a tough one, right? Because if you look at from a pure finance business standpoint, it might be like, okay, this doesn't make, don't understand it. But the ROI is actually the fact that it's about the value that you're giving out there than the value you are gaining per
gaining out
se.
of it.
Um, and it's a multiplier effect, right? I feel especially in things like this is that if that person's gotten value from you, at least I am a strong believer that it circles back to you eventually. And the
Absolutely.
more people you do that for, it's not a community you own, it's the community you help create.
Help
And
create.
the problem is you want to own every community.
I tell my team a very simple thing, and this is like a Monday morning thing in every of our team meeting. I tell them, um, if you are exactly the same thing that you said, if you are going to add value without expecting it to return back, someday it will. You might, in fact, last year, a lot of our campaigns that we did came to us because those people were like ex participants from IFP. They said, I had a wonderful journey, and I think you've built a credible platform. So I run this brand. I want to work with you guys and probably give opportunity to next set of people who might become like me. I said, this is what you're doing. Essentially, till date, at IFP, we don't have a sales team. We don't need a sales team, and we still do more than 30, 35 campaigns a year solely because most of them are because people who attended or people who participated coming to us, bringing us back with the kind of businesses that we wanted to do. Now, for the first time, we have got someone in sales, and that person is like, I have so much of inward queries which are coming in. I don't know where do I start from, because the continuously people are reaching out. I think that's how communities evolve. And something that I'm really proud of from this journey is because when we built a community with a very selfless intention, versus nowadays communities has become like a catchphrase for everyone. Every call I go on to, every brief is like, we want to build a community. I said, want to build a community, why? Because we want to drive sales. I said, if you are going to drive sales, then call them customers. Why do you want to call them a community? It's as simple as that.
Yeah. There's also the aspect of when you look at just the fact that people have continued to send in entries, are excited about it. Even now, when the assumption is that because you could just create something and put it up on YouTube, you could create something and find a medium. What do you think there is that we're not understanding about the fact that the volume of content might be so much, but people are still submitting their films to you, versus they could someone say, "Okay, why do you need to submit it? You can just put it up on YouTube and you can get recognition there. Do you need to actually go in for challenges like this?" What do you think people don't understand about the value of getting into a challenge versus, I mean, create an Instagram account, create a YouTube channel, put it all out there?
I think two things. One is collaborations that happen. Typically, what we have been focusing since last 6 years is we have been telling people that when you are making a film in 50 hours at IFP, on when you have been writing a story or when you have been participating in design challenge, don't do it alone. Do it with someone whom you wished you would want to work in the future. Create that collaboration and then make this space to probably build, understand, and see if this is the kind of working relationship you want to have with someone. A lot of people who reach out to us tell us saying that I found my editor at IFP, or I found my music arranger at IFP, or I found my vocalist at IFP, which is the kind of collaborations that we want to do. So we built a tool where we say, and the volumes have grown huge. Just 2022, we had 65,000 people participating across 7 different challenges. So for us to now match right kind of people with right kind of potential partners has also become kind of challenging. So one is we enable push a lot of people for collaboration, which doesn't happen in their day-to-day life. Day-to-day life is very comforting. You have a team, you want to work with that team, you
Yeah.
think that only a good idea with the same team will be able to push you to the next level. Versus what happens is, with a different set of team, different set of thoughts, there is a better chance that you might be able to do something which is path breaking, because at the end every creator is wanting to do something path breaking. So I think collaborations is one. The second is self validity. A lot of times we kept on asking, we did a lot of internal feedbacks and surveys to understand why are people participating, why are the numbers still going up, and there are so many platforms out there. And we realized that a lot of people participate because they want to get a validation done. They, and what we have been technically doing at IFP, because everyone has got same 50 hours to make a film. So there is no resource which is unequal, which means you might have best camera, person might have a mobile phone, you are still competing because the time is same.
Mm.
So we've seen like biggest of people, Bollywood directors participating, not being able to make it. And we've seen a lot of college people who make their first film so wonderful that as IFP we go and champion them to multiple film festivals. So I think the validation that where do I stand, am I going to be able to do it, when I get 3 months from a client to work on a film or a music, I am very comfortable with it. But when I have to work on deadlines, is this a place that I can do? A lot of people take back that understanding. And because that plays on a crucial emotion of people validating themselves, it's never going to die, because the validation is always going to be required. Just that it might change its form from some art form to another art form.
Do you think these are the two elements we tend to not have enough of? I mean, I know you've spoken about content overload in general, that you have so much content out there. All of us are churning, guilty as
Oh, yeah.
charged, of like just putting so much out there. The problem, I mean, anybody who's a content creator I speak to, the worry or the problem they face in their heads is not to make money; it's to actually be found, because there's so much out there. Um, and these 2 points you brought up, which is collaboration and just self validation, that's it, um, are actually in many ways what's missing from the across every single content platform.
For more insights like this, make sure you check out the full episode.